Welcome to Awake to Oneness Radio. I am Caroline Chen, your host. The mission of Awake to Oneness Radio is to inspire the world to awaken to the universal truth of oneness. Science is teaching us that all life is interconnected and interdependent, and spirituality and ancient wisdom has been teaching the truth of oneness for eons, and now science is catching up. So once mankind awakens to the universal truth of oneness, there will be peace on earth. Today's show topic is The Great Awakening with Laura Eisenhower. Laura, thank you for having time to spend with me today. I'm a little out of breath. I just ran up and down the stairs.
Oh, well, thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here.
Thank you. Thank you. I first saw you a few weeks ago with Magenta Pixie, and then I also saw a video that you posted concerning the bill that's in the House right now, HR 666. So can you please share with our listeners the work that you're doing now and everything? I forgot to mention that Laura is the great-granddaughter of President Dwight D. Eisenhower, one of my favorite presidents, even though I wasn't born when he was president.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, the work I'm doing now, there's a lot of online events because, of course, we can't travel to go to events in physical locations that could open up, and those probably will, happen. But more likely, the events that start after August. So I've been doing events for quite some time, but the online events are coming up, and I'm doing an 8-hour workshop on the weekend of June 5th and 6th, and I'm doing a 2-hour presentation May 31st. So the first one is with Portal to Ascension. The second one is with Forbidden Knowledge TV. So things have really shifted online, and just working on getting as many videos out as I possibly can, because we're in a great time of preparation for a potential second wave, and there are just really, really powerful agendas in the works that are very hard for people to grasp. And so a lot of these events will be to, share that kind of information. So everything is kind of being updated to present time because of the necessity of the times. So that's kind of what's going on right now.
Yes. And I think the times are amazing. I mean, I've been saying on my show since mid 2019 that 2020 is the year of the year of clear vision. You know how, like, when the doctors say you have 20/20 vision, and I've been hearing this spiritually, that 2020 is the year of clear vision. So I've been sharing. I actually started a series recently called 2020, the year of clear vision. Open your eyes. So nice. So that's why I titled this The Great Awakening, because I really now feel we're in the beginning of a great awakening.
Absolutely. Yes. And it can be very uncomfortable for people because there's many facets to awakening, and awakening to who we truly are and what our DNA potential is, and just things that have been hidden from us about ourselves is one aspect of it. Also awakening to our authentic self, because there's been so many programmings and societal conditionings that have affected us since, childhood, past life things that have taken place, ancestral patterns that we're working on clearing to really awaken to our highest level of integrity and authenticity. So that's another part of awakening. And then there's the rabbit hole awakening, which is trying to get to the bottom of what the hell's going on this planet with so many different things, and then how that ties into disclosure, and the awakening process within ourselves ties into disclosure, because as multidimensional beings, we are connected to things beyond our comprehension that also link into how what's going on Earth is not limited to just this 3D. There's a much larger picture connected to our ancient history and things that are just being held in secrecy connected to disclosure, and what we hear about with, UFOs, ET government treaties. And so it's a lot for people.
Yes. Yes. So I think I kind of feel like we both kind of dove in to the deep end before. Some people might not know. So can you just let the listeners know, how did you come about doing, it could be a short synopsis of how you got to where you are right now.
Well, I was definitely processing a lot as a child. I was thinking in terms of larger picture stuff at a really young age. I was really connecting to the spirit of Eisenhower, President Eisenhower.
Mm-hmm.
And there was just a lot of catalyzing things that took place on my journey to open me up to like, whoa, okay, something is weird about our world. And I never accepted it as just, oh, this is just what being human is all about. I noticed programmings. I noticed things that were playing out on the world stage that seemed to hold like a dark underbelly that is being hidden from us. And so that made me curious enough to research heavily.
Okay.
But a huge part of how I got to where I am today is the study of things like the I Ching and astrology. Then I moved into medical astrology. My background is in wilderness expedition leadership. So, that was like different than research. It was more experiential. And then in 2006, I was recruited to go off planet, and it brought me into more the realities of the things I was researching. Because sometimes when you research, it's like we have to be very discerning. There's a lot of disinfo out there. Yes. But a lot of things that happened to me along the way proved many points. And even as a person that does session work with people every day, the kind of clients I have and the experiences that they've had, there's no denying the stuff that I've read about and researched, because I'm talking to living cases.
Right.
So, and of course there's been enough whistleblowers out there. So how I got to where I am today is like trying to connect the dots, because I feel like I've been all over the place and trying to maintain human form and just trying to, so I've learned a lot about different healing tools and modalities and herbs. And it's been a path of self-discovery. Yes. And just being born in the Eisenhower family was a huge catalyst, because I'm just like, what am I doing in this family? And so there was something that was prepping me, like I'm here to expose stuff, but also pay more attention to the solutions and human potential. Yes. Because we can't just sit in the fear. We can't just feel like victims to this. We have to understand how we're feeding into it, what we're still holding an attachment to or dependency to, and where we feel the fear of moving forward in a more sovereign way to rebuild a better world. Yes. And what that's going to take. So my attention is definitely, it's sort of like the alchemy of turning lead into gold. We have to face the dark, but we can't stay there. We have to see, what's been targeted, because everything that's dark is basically something that's stealing from us. It's a form of theft, and we need to call it back. And when we start to call it back, we see a much brighter future, a positive timeline. And just like you said in the very beginning, when we bring our hearts together, when we learn how to treat each other with love and respect, we actually move beyond these dark agendas, because they're only holding us to the conquer and divide, the disunity, the imbalance, and where we are being socially engineered into buying into false narratives. I mean, there is like a lot of misinformation and fake news out there.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. Oh, well, I always share. I've been doing my show now for 5 years. I launched my show 6 years after my son transitioned. He's not gone. He's still with me. He's in spirit, and he is the co-host. But I can feel him with me all the time. But I always say to my listeners, it's not about fear. It's about love. We have a choice. We can choose love, unconditional love, or fear. And right now, when this first started, as far as, I don't watch news. I stopped watching news 19 years ago. And that was a direct order from my higher self. I heard it loud and clear. It was a couple of weeks after 9/11. My higher self said, turn off that news and don't ever turn it back on. And I didn't know why at the time. I didn't know until 11 years later why. So, but I always say it's one thing to know. It's important to know the dark agenda, but not focus on it. Because when you focus on it, you might lower, everything is vibration. So you might lower your vibration to that dark agenda. You don't want to lower your vibration. You want your vibration to be up here. To be honest, when I realized, wow, this is the beginning of the mass awakening I've been knowing is coming, as soon as I realized that, for the past 2 months, I have been in 5D. I have not been in, I can see what's going on in 3D, and I send love and light, and I try my best to share that it's a vibrational thing. Like
Absolutely.
3D is a vibration of fear and powerlessness. That's the 3D vibration. Once you raise your vibration to 5D, they can't touch you. All they feed off of our fear.
Yes.
And when we're not in fear, they can't touch us. And I've been saying this now for 6 weeks at least, to my audience. It's all about choosing love, understanding, knowing, because I've known about the dark agenda since 2012, but I never spoke about it on my show until March, when I realized, okay, they're making a move. I gotta share with my listeners what I know in my heart and soul. Like I say to my listeners, what resonates as true for me. And I encourage them to go in their heart, because truth is only in one place. It's in your heart and soul. So to go within, tap into that truth that resonates as true, and live that truth. So I understand what you're saying, but yeah, so it's never, I always say to my listeners, it's never that I do present what I am finding in this agenda. So now, like I said, how I found you, I don't watch news, so I didn't know about the bill, that HR 6666, and I laugh when I think of the number, because in the Bible 666, it's like they added a 6. I say, wow, they could have at least changed the number to try to hide what this is all about. But maybe you can share with our listeners what that HR 6666 bill is all about.
Yeah, that bill. People sign petitions about. I did. It's really, yes. So we reached the goal of going over 100,000 signups, and basically what the bill is, it has to do with this is where it gets really, really insane, where they're using the coronavirus as a means to so-called protect us by coming into our homes and testing us, and then separating us from our children if we test positive. That sounds absolutely absurd. So this would allow government officials to enter anyone's home and force test them. Mm-hmm. Then the government officials would have the right to remove children, remove anyone testing positive, and that's pretty much it. That's the bottom line of it. And so it required 100,000 signatures, and let's hope that signing these things will be what it takes. Some people are already saying that bill is not in the works anymore. Yeah, it's not going to pass. But can you imagine like if people hadn't been doing their research, if there wasn't a huge acceleration of information coming out and documentaries coming out and whistleblowers coming out, it'd be very, very difficult to navigate these times. But the thing is, our intuition knows. It can sense when something's wrong. Yeah. And that's why so many people have been on top of it for so long, because, when we feel like something doesn't feel quite right, that's going to create a curiosity. And, it's going to cause us to want to dive in and get some answers. And we see things that are absolute anomalies. And that's what 9/11 did. People were like, what the heck? Buildings can't collapse like that. What's going on?
Exactly. That was my wake up call. Like I said, when 9/11 happened, I was never a big news watcher, but seriously, it was a direct order from Spirit, turn off that news. So that's 2001, and I did. But on the anniversary of 9/11, 11 years later, so it was September 11th, 2012, Spirit said, now research 9/11. I looked at 3 documentaries back to back. One was sponsored by Families for 9/11 Truth. Then the second was sponsored by Architects and Engineers for 9/11 Truth. And then the third documentary was Building 7, The Smoking Gun. So on the anniversary, on the 11th anniversary, and it was a Tuesday, it was a day, it was almost an eerie day, just like the day of 9/11. Spirit told me to look into it. I watched those three. I did nothing but watch documentaries on YouTube about what happened. And I was like, there's no way. Buildings don't just pancake. I mean, free fall. Building 7, free fall. I mean, it was like nothing was holding it up. It just, really? So it's like you cannot watch those documentaries and know, okay, yeah. So that was my wake-up call to what I call now, because they go by many names, but I call them the draconian deep state cabal. I like to give them a nice long name, but it's like I'm not, and I also say there are shadow side because I'm grounded in oneness. So it's everything is connected, and they are like we individually have a shadow side. The cabal is our collective shadow side, and
Yes.
all we have to do is shine our light, and they have no power. So I am actually riding on a high because every day I'm finding police officers going online saying, we're not going to violate our citizens' constitutional rights. Police officers, thousands of doctors have come out to speak and say, well, this is not much worse than a severe flu. Thousands of doctors have come out to say that. And so nurses are speaking out. People are really stepping up to the plate. So it's really encouraging every time I go on YouTube, because I do not watch mainstream news. So I have no idea what mainstream news is saying, but right. I go on YouTube and I feel very encouraged that, I know that HR 666, it's funny, when I sent that to some of my relatives to sign, I had a cousin said, why are you sending me this fake news, this rumor? I said, I sent you a bill. I said to her, I sent you a bill that's in the House of Congress and a petition to sign. How are you calling that a rumor? So, but what can you do? What can you do? But yeah.
Yeah, so, no, I hear you. Gosh.
Yeah, but it's actually where we are, because they have shown us their hand, the cabal. We know their next move. We know what they want to do. We're not going to let it happen. So it's actually we're actually in a good place.
Yeah, I mean, this has been in the works for a while. I mean, there's just a vast history that we're dealing with that. I mean, this goes back to the Lyran Wars, the Orion Wars, the exploded planets, the Anunnaki. I mean, there's so much that has been kept from our history books. That's why it's so shocking to people, because when they look through their history books, there's nothing to prepare them. And they're also attempting to rewrite history. Yes. There's no class in our galactic history. We only hear about a certain portion of our history, and it's very steered in a certain way. That it divides people between you either are religious or you're not religious. But what about being spiritual, right? And I'm the kind of person that embraces all walks of life. I don't think there's a right or wrong way. As long as you're a good person and it serves you, why bicker about all that? But it polarizes us politically as well to not see the bigger picture, because we used to function at a much greater capacity, and we need to understand the things that brought us to where we are today. Because as we need to heal our physical bodies, it doesn't do well to just take a pharmaceutical. We need to dig deep into the root of why we got ill, what the body is trying to tell us, so we can get closer to ourselves, not further away. So in the times of adversity, humanity can come closer together instead of become further divided. We notice that when there's disasters, communities rally together. Sometimes it takes adversity to just be able to get to know who one another is. But then there's a group of people that respond to adversity, especially when there's a lot of confusing information, where that fear does make them bitter, does make them like wanting to hoard. They're looking out only for themselves. And, but that's not, I wouldn't say that's really the majority or the true, human nature. And I know that there's enough of us that are willing to come together. But what's difficult about sharing information is that people think it's political. If you think this way, it must be because you're, right or left or this or that. And some people do overly identify with being either right or left, or they might support one side. And it's not so much because of the political party. It's because they can tell that, they're trying to take down, the deep state.
Right.
So we can only really hope. but we also don't want to put the burden on the political leaders that we might feel good about. We each have to step up and do our part. Now, it's not everybody's comfort level to go down some of those rabbit holes. So it's not about pushing people into those places, but at least knowing ourselves enough to know what we can and cannot handle, knowing where we need boundaries, breathing into it, taking our time with it, because when it starts to elicit fear, we're going a little bit too far. Like you said, we have to watch our frequency. So when we're trying to share information, if it turns into a battle of insult, then it defeats the purpose. There's no information that's beneficial to share if it turns into a fight. So in those moments that begins to happen, that's when we should take a breath and raise a vibration. Because, it starts with like light massage before you go deep tissue. If we go too hard, too quick on some people, it's like, wait a second. So there's I'm learning too, and we're all kind of learning, okay, what the art of this level of communication is. And everybody's different. Some are completely ready. Some aren't ready at all. And so we have to kind of adjust ourselves accordingly to each type of person. But when it comes to like talking to a bigger audience, then people just, have to decide if they're willing to tune in and take what resonates and leave the rest. But I highly encourage people to just open up their minds and allow themselves to begin to process this. Yes, be careful of the type of people you choose to hear it from. And I'm just so glad you're doing this, because everything that you've said so far, I'm just like, oh gosh, what a breath of fresh air, because there is so much love and compassion. There is so much faith, but it's like a trusting faith. It's like, yourself, what you're very in tune to the truth. And that will dispel the fear. So sometimes we have to face a little bit of fear to like reset ourselves and correct a harmful pattern.
Yes.
But it's something that we don't want to make decisions from. So when they're presenting this narrative, people are making decisions out of the fear that they're promoting. But when we can allow the trigger of fear to help us say, okay, all right, so that's going on. What does my intuition tell me? What do I need to do to protect myself? What do I need to do to understand what's going on? So we need to take enough time and shut it all off to be able to hear that internal guidance. Or else we will lose our minds even more so than we already have to their false solutions. So fortunately, there are some that are looking out for us, but we don't want to give too much power away. Each of us, this is the time of each of us standing up together and then uniting and appreciating the diversity. We're not all going to have the same kind of calling. But let's just hold mutual love and respect, number one.
Yes. No, what you said is so true. Actually, what's happening, Spirit is telling me this is exactly what's happening, is happening in perfect divine order, because we're actually on the highest timeline. We're shut inside. So especially for people that are single like me, that gives you time to go within, to meditate, turn off the news. I keep hearing people at least on YouTube say, turn off that news. And even people I know that watch news have said, well, I don't watch it as much anymore, thankfully. But it's a time, the universe is giving us all a time out. You're home, you have more time to read, you have more time to do your own research, you have more time to meditate, do your breath work. That's something new I just started this week, is I meditate all the time, but I just started doing breath work. There's so much. I live in the mountains, I spend time outside at the lake, I meditate. So this is what I've been encouraging my listeners to do. Take this time and go within. Please try not to listen to that news, because the news job is to put you in a state of fear. That is what they're doing their job very, very well. But understand that when you're in a state of fear, you're giving away your innate power. Your power is within. So once you know that and you go within, tap into your power within, nothing can touch you. So I've actually, the last 2 months, I've been on such a high. I live in the mountains. The kids are they're not in school. They're just running up and down playing. I'm watching kids now, and it just finished raining. Kids are outside already with the wet ground, no mask. I don't wear a mask. The kids on my block and the neighbors on my block, we've been visiting with neighbors. Nobody's wearing a mask and gloves. We're actually just kind of like on a vacation. It's like weird. So, and I believe I'm having that experience because of my vibration. I'm having that experience because I'm up here in 5D. So I'm going to see it from a 5D perspective. Now, I still see 3D. I still know what's going on in 3D. But I tried, like with my cousin, I did not fight with her when she's telling me I'm sending her factual information and she's calling it rumors, conspiracy theories. I'm like, okay. I just said I send you love and light and pray one day you wake up. That's all. I do not argue. I do not argue.
It's hard not to. Yeah.
That would lower your vibration, and it truly is a vibrational thing. It truly is.
Yes, and and that's really just the thing to concentrate on, just to maintain balance. And so it's an ongoing thing, that we have to check ourselves. I always do. I find myself just having to just kind of like take a deep breath and be like, okay. But yeah, you reminded me of something when you were saying all that. Yes, it's the vibration, and we can generate the joy. I remember when I was living on the road and I barely had any money. Every time I went into fear, every time I felt like, wow, I'm really letting my parents down and I'm just kind of off and I'm wandering, and I was just sort of judging it or just feeling fear about the unknown. And I would slip into that every once in a while. Literally, I could see how the world around me was reflecting back the fear. I would notice darker people, predatory people coming my way, people wanting to take advantage of me. The synchronicities weren't there. Everything felt very random, and I was just lucky if I caught a break. And then I was like, wait a second. And I wasn't in that negative or weird zone for very long, because I just had learned a lot along the way to not do that. But I would catch myself, and when I shifted my perspective and I felt abundant, I felt connected to spirit, I felt connected to love, I felt trust, and I embraced the adventure, and I also just really invoked my higher self to be integrated fully in my physical lifestyle. The most unbelievable and incredible things happened, and I had the most incredible experiences from that point forward.
Yeah.
And there were phases in my life where I realized that I was in that zone of maybe really struggling through something. We all go through that as teenagers, but how much not working through that or finding the necessary support or help can actually create a reality that doesn't need to be. I mean, we're multidimensional. We have access to the creative imagination, and then our minds are powerful manifestors of our reality. And we're drawing upon the fear that our imagination can become infected with through trauma or news.
Yes.
We're actually generating the very thing we don't want into our environment, because we're overly identifying it with it. It becomes the vibration we carry. So I love that you brought all that up and you said it so wonderfully. Yeah.
Yeah. My definition for worry is praying for what you don't want to happen. Because when you give it your attention, you're drawing it to you. This is science. Everything I believe in, I start the show off with science. It's quantum physics. And everything I believe spiritually is backed up by science. And when we focus on something, we're literally drawing it to us. So I say, if you're worried about something, you're actually praying for it to happen because you're focusing on it. So I say, I stay grounded in this now moment. This now moment, like I said, I'm so blessed to be here, and I love the mountains. I love the country. I've never been a city girl. I'm looking at the beautiful trees. I'm looking at kids, and even not just kids, but parents outside right now. And it just finished raining, and so it's cloudy, and they're outside, like just enjoying life. And this is what I see every day. This is my reality, and I know I'm seeing this reality because of my vibration. Because I stay in this now moment. This now moment is perfect. And I'm abundant, and all is well.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. I mean, when we can consciously access these, higher dimensions, it's like everything that we want is not abandon us. It's up to us, though, to not walk the other way and dismiss it. It's like our immune system is always there working on our behalf. But if we're trashing our body, or we're not figuring out, what would best support it, and we're not changing our lifestyle in order to strengthen us, then we're actually the one getting in the way of a resource that's always there. Spirit, unconditional love is always there. We just get lost in these things that, we just wander off the trail, or I don't know what the best metaphor, but you know what I mean? It's always there. Some people feel abandoned, like there is no God. Why isn't God intervening? And I'm like, God is going to intervene through you when you can allow that connection, or I don't know.
When you understand, well, I say, when you understand that you and God are one, you're not separate from God. So we always say, why has God forsaken me? God didn't forsake you. You forsake you and didn't know you forsake you, because God is always right there. I've been blessed to, I don't channel, I don't hear audibly, but I have a very strong connection with higher self from birth. And
Yeah.
and that's why I've been the weird one in the family my whole life, you know. But it's like, no, that doesn't feel right. I'm not doing it. And I've been like that since I was a child. And like you were talking about holistic remedies to boost your immune system. I drink a lot of water. Remember, I just said that I just started doing breath work, and the reason I just started doing that is because I found out it also alkalines your body. I drink a lot of water because I know it alkalines my body. Now, I didn't know deep breathing exercise also alkalines your body. Does people realize if your body's alkaline, you can't catch a cold? You can't get sick. And you know, we're all people wearing masks and like, no, drink water, eat healthy, get some exercise, and breathe and meditate. You'll be fine. Seriously, the body is amazing. The body is amazing. Yes.
Yes, absolutely. And that's what this bill is. So, you know, the crazy part is so many people are getting that, and there's so many herbs and supplements available, incredible books, incredible podcasts, incredible speakers that have really helped remind us of these things. And that's why I think they're doing Agenda 21 early, because they're like, whoa, you know,
Yeah.
and they're centering more than ever. They're like, we better get on this, because they're moving like super full speed ahead. And you know, so they've been planning this particular COVID thing for a while.
Yes.
But this is one that, like, I think is tripping everybody up. Even people who have researched for a long time weren't necessarily certain, you know, which card they would play to bring about New World Order.
Yes.
And so this is why they're ramping up so much this whole going into your house and mandatory vaccines, because those, you know, conscious ones and the conscious beings, you know, if we get a vaccine, it's like it's going to start to, you know, affect us as well. And if that freedom of choice to continue on the path that we're continuing on is taken away by having that forced upon us, then they have us too. But the thing is, we're able to access dimensions that they can't reach. And there are ways to bring about justice so that they can't even take that first step inside our houses. And plus, there are, even worst case scenario, which it won't happen, there are all sorts of ways to mitigate vaccines the minute, you know, you get a shot. Things like activated charcoal, bentonite clay, diatomaceous earth, and ways to rid the body and clear the bloodstream of foreign material.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
But actually, we're truly, like you said, we are multi-dimensional. Right now, 2020 is such an important year. And yeah, I know I just learned about the Agenda 21. Actually, just yesterday, I saw a video about that. Like, I didn't know about that. But 2020 has always been earmarked spiritually to be the year. That's why there's no coincidence that when an eye doctor says you have 20/20 vision, that's not a coincidence. 2020 spiritually has been the year for humanity's awakening, to see, for the veil. Like, I love how David Icke said it. He says the book, I'm going to say boogeyman. He said monster. I like the word. The boogeyman is in the room with us now, and the door is shut behind him. He's shown all his hands. People are waking up by masses now and seeing the boogeyman. Now, what has to happen, and I believe this will happen this year, before the end of this year, the spotlight is going to be shined on the boogeyman. I believe full disclosure will happen. And even when full disclosure happens, not everybody is going to accept it. It's not, people are so programmed, and it's not okay, here's how I put it. Not every soul, we are all divine souls, but not every soul has chosen to awaken in this lifetime. So we have to honor that soul's choice. So humanity is at a crossroads. At the end of this year, it's going to be clear 5D or clear 3D. You choose what train you want to be on. But the only way you can choose what train you want to be on, you have to know. You can't be in the dark. So that's why I said this year, humanity has to be able to see the spotlight. Now the boogeyman is in the room. We've seen their hand. We know what their next move is. All of us that are awakened, and there's many of us that are awake, we all know what's going on. Now those that are asleep, they're like, oh, something's changed, because now the boogeyman's in the room. So they know something's changed, but they don't know what. Now what has to happen is the light spotlight has to be put on the boogeyman. Even when that spotlight is put on them, you would think everybody on the planet would just, oh, okay, I'm awake now. Not going to happen, because not every soul on the planet has chosen to go to 5D, to awaken in this lifetime. And that's okay. It's because there is no time. In truth, we're all still in spirit. We're playing our part. And the Cabal is playing their part perfectly. And we are on the best timeline right now. We are truly, because there could have been worse disasters. There could have been so many different, most people have read the book of Revelations, right? Being stuck at home ain't that bad, it's not that bad. We actually chose the very high timeline, and we can stay on that timeline as long as we keep our vibration up.
Yep, I agree. And the thing too is, the more they try and shut an awakened person down, the louder they're going to get. So they're actually pushing people to like a new level of power.
Exactly.
A spiritual being cannot be shut down, because there's only more expansion that comes out of constriction. You can't enslave something that is already free. So
Right.
you can try all you want, but it doesn't exist alone in physical form, where the 3D is the personality matrix, and it's all about the mind control and about engineering people to be a certain personality in the world, or be labeled a certain career that is basically almost their identity, or where they work under corporations, or work in positions that are basically keeping that system alive and being a part of that machine. A conscious individual is working in a completely different arena with cosmic and natural law and synchronicities, magic, divine flow. There's a miracle vibration there. Reality's fluid. Things can just change, overnight. But many of us are still here to help as many as we can, see another way. But with a lot of love and compassion, exactly. And that's how to maintain that, high frequency. So do you see, like, not to turn a question on you, but
that's okay.
But it's more discussion, so this is great.
Yes.
When people talk about bifurcation, do you see an actual splitting, or where how do you kind of?
That's a good question, because I don't listen to news. All I do is listen to channel information. And all I know is I have heard many channels say not every soul has decided to awaken in this lifetime. So you have to honor that soul's choice. So I know even when there has to be full disclosure, because a soul cannot determine what path to choose if they're in the dark. So there has to be full disclosure before the end of the year. And before the date that I'm given is December 21st of this year. Is like when the gateway is going to close to 5D. Right now it's wide open. 5D is here, and the gateway to 5D is wide open. So exactly how that, because then I hear channels that say we are awakening as a humanity, no souls are going to be left behind. So I'm like, but then I hear I think it's going to be an individual. It's going to be each soul's individual sovereign choice. I loved what Magenta said, that download she got. The 3 steps. We need to know the agenda. And I stress, just know it, but don't dwell on it. So we need to know the agenda. Then we need to claim our sovereignty, just like you said. It's universal law. If you say, I am free, I am a sovereign divine being. I am free. They can't touch you. That's universal law. So, so that was number 2. And number 3 is the part that my whole show is about, knowing that they're not separate. We're one. They're our shadow side. So the sin, even to send them love and light, to even to send the cabal love and light, to raise their vibration, to transform them. So it's not about dark versus light. It's about light transforming the dark back to light. So how that split, that's a good question, because I don't have that answer. So well, yeah, that's a good question.
I think we perceive the dimensional frequency that we've stayed consistent with, and there's a time where things are going to be more solidified. Right now, there's still a lot of choice. Those that are really anchored on the organic ascension timeline will see the world like achieve that goal, because they're upgrading DNA. They've done the inner work. They're holding the right frequency. And so the world is moving in that direction, and maybe other people won't experience that reality because they can't go through that awakening process like we were talking about. And so this choice right now is definitely, two roads. How much those roads will be able to acknowledge one another, that's the weird question. Like, oh, you guys are over there. But that's what spirit guides do. They see, oh, here you are over there, and we'll come and give guidance. And then a lot of spirit guides have incarnated in human bodies to provide that guidance on a more ground level. But then there's a point that, because this is an ascension window period, that the star seeds and advanced souls that have come to help during this time do not have to remain in this mix of energy, and that we get to, fully retrieve, ourselves, because coming into the physical body was a choice to come into a downgraded biological vessel in order to be able to be in this physical realm.
Yes.
And I know there's a lot of that on Earth, but yeah, I mean, those kind of mysteries don't even really need to be solved. It's just a matter of knowing that it is all, where it needs to be. And it is a oneness thing, because the shadow work, it's like when we go into a dark night of the soul, or we go into the underworld, or we're dealing with any kind of crisis, we can stay there as long as we want, but there is a point in which we need to move on. And that's why I feel we're also facing crisis and illness, because people are really getting sick. But I know that if one can't let go of something that needs to be released, that is going to compromise our immune system. And so there's always going to be viruses, bacteria, even bioweapons. We've been sprayed. We've had all sorts of stuff in those chemtrails. We've been breathing it in. Why are we especially weakened right now? Was there really just a hardcore bioweapon that's like way worse than anything we've seen? I think we have a greater weakness because so many people cannot consciously process all the disclosures that have already happened connected to child trafficking and all this kind of stuff, that they're shoving it down. And there's a collective grief of like the truth of like these corrupt leaders. And I feel like because people are internalizing a lot of that grief, it's weakening their lungs and their throat because they're not speaking out. They're afraid.
Yes.
And so that's making them somewhat vulnerable to this particular thing.
And the fear weakens the fear also weakens. Yes.
And it's all connected to the fear. And because Pluto and Saturn have been conjunct, and Pluto's death, rebirth, alchemy, transformation, but some people get locked in the death cycle and they can't emerge, and they want somebody else to save them.
Yes.
The beauty of going through a death cycle is that we can save ourselves, and that is the resurrection. That's the death of like ego or an old identity that doesn't serve us. And on a collective level, the old paradigm does not serve us. This is a time to take a huge leap. So
exactly.
There's a lot of stuck souls that are like, how do you do that? And that's what I feel like is a huge reason why there's a lot of sickness too.
I smiled really big when you said that, because that happened on my birthday.
What did?
What you just said, Pluto and was it Saturn? January 12th. There was a big my birthday is January 12th of 2020. There was a big conjunction on my birthday. So I was like, oh, I like that. But
a very significant thing.
Yes. Now, one of the things I learned this week from channeled messages, that when you're in 5D, you can see 4D and 3D. You can see down dimensions, but a person stuck in 3D cannot see up. So I'm realizing, because me and my neighbor, we had the same experience. We're trying to share this information in a loving way to people, and it's like they can't even hear us. And then I like had to share with my neighbor, they can't, because they're 3D, they're only focused on the 3D realm. They cannot see from our perspective. We can see their perspective, but they cannot see ours. But again, the full disclosure hasn't happened. When the full disclosure happens, there's going to be many, many, many more people waking up. And those that are already awake, we're gonna really be needed at that time to help those newly awakened. Yes. So that's really important.
Well, a lot of people will only pay attention to it when it's out there in the news enough, and the fake news is transformed into real news sources and are called out, because that's when people really start paying attention. So disclosures happen as far as Netflix documentaries, YouTube channels, like this, like people can find disclosure, but for the masses to give it the time of day, right,
it has to be on CNN.
It
has to be on CNN for the masses to give it the time of day, and that I believe is going to happen. Just I don't know how or when, but I do believe that's going to happen this year before December 21st. Hopefully before the election. So I'm not political at all. Anybody that knows me, I'm not political, but I do feel that it's important for me to vote this year. I don't know who I'm voting for, but I do feel it's important to vote this year.
Yeah, I'm so not political, even though I come from a presidential family. I just can't wrap my head around it. I couldn't pass the citizenship test. I'm like, I can't think government. Like, I don't understand the government structure. But
political, because to me, I'm so grounded in oneness. I don't claim to be any one religion. I don't identify my skin color. I don't identify with any religion. I don't identify with any country, because all of those are borders. I have no borders.
I absolutely relate to you. Oh my gosh.
I'm a citizen of the universe.
That's how I feel. I'm like,
yes.
I don't notice those. I don't think about those things. It's not a factor. It's like, I go straight for the soul. Like, who is the person? What are they made of? What are their passions and inspirations? And what's their journey about? Like, let's all be friends. Let's be family. Like that's all I think with anybody. I mean,
exactly. Well, here's what I see.
ET.
Here's what I see in the 5D world that's coming. There will be no government. There will be no religion. Education will be very different, where a child will be, okay, what do you like to do? You know, a child will be encouraged to do what they love to do. It's going to be a total different world. There'll be no borders. There'll be no countries. There'll be, it'll just be one family. And when we are living as one family, you don't need government, because we know how to love each other. So that is what's coming, and it's coming from many of us, most of us. From what I understand, there's 4.5 billion starseeds and light workers there's more starseeds than what they would call indigenous humans on the planet. So so we are heading in the right direction. I'm so excited. I really am. And people, it's like I've been doing drugs for the past two months. I'm just like, we're here. It's actually, I know it seems, if we look at just the 3D, if we're looking at just the news, at just the virus, at just the bickering going on, well, what's going on, and I'm right and you're wrong, and if we look at that, then we're like, oh my God. But no, you gotta say, wait a second, it's not so bad. We're stuck at home. Okay, it could have been a lot worse, so
it gives us a chance to process, because if there's a second wave, we're all stuck at home, being able to figure out what that's all about and to be prepared. Because our consciousness needs to prepare, because it's when we're duped, when we're played, when we're fooled, that's when we're in trouble. Knowledge is where our power is, and knowledge is what is the prerequisite to this initiation into truth and embodied truth, where our frequency, begins to shift and change. But we first have to get a grip on, knowledge, and it has to start with self-knowledge. We have to be really true to ourselves, or else we're not going to see through the lies. Because if we're living a lie, if we're in a false identity, how are we going to be able to tell the difference between somebody who's deceiving us and somebody who's not? Because their frequency, we won't see the contrast with ourselves, we'll just slip right into it because we're already duping ourselves, maybe living a lie, because we want to put our head in the sand. And I'm not saying that, because somebody's not ready for these harsher truths, that they're living a lie, but
Right.
they're not seeing the full picture. And so there's a huge piece of unconsciousness. Unconsciousness doesn't mean falsity. Unconscious means it's at least switched off. So a person can be true to themselves, but have a lot of unconsciousness, or a person can be, just trying to be somebody they're not. But in both cases, it's hard to know who's who. So it's nice that we're all able to close the door, because it gives a person a chance to see, how am I reacting to this? Who am I? Does this bring up tears? Does this bring up anger? Does this make me curious about stuff that I was not open to before? Or does it make me more and more trusting of Bill Gates? It's like some people will think that. And that's
Someone
like,
just said, a friend of mine that I met me through the show called me today. He's a truck driver, and he said that to me. He's like, who made Bill Gates in charge? And I'm like, isn't he a college dropout? I'm like, what does he know about medicine? I mean, he's not a doctor. Who made Bill Gates? He said that to me today. I just had to laugh. I was like, he was driving his truck, and I was like, I'll talk to you more about it. Oh, and I sent him some of my videos. I said, check out some of my videos. You'll get the gist of what's going on. But yeah, really, who put Bill Gates in charge of the world?
Oh, I know. And I mean, there's so much that you would think would really like cause people to say, whoa, wow, why am I aligning with this person? But the majority really doesn't. I mean, I check his page very often, and there are a bunch of likes, but sometimes they can generate likes just to not look like the most hated person on earth. But all the comments are just like, all the memes, go away, Bill, nobody, I mean, hundreds and hundreds of comments. And then the Marina Abramovic, or whatever her name is, doing the ad. I mean, they had to take it down because nobody was going to go for it. So that's the majority of people. If they really had followers and people that were interested, you would see a lot more support and comments, just like there's a lot of support and comments on, people that are sharing good information. Right. They don't have any, except for maybe the people they hire to make it sound like they have at least one friend out there, except for their little clan and cult.
Right. Did you know that there's a petition? I saw it when I signed the petition to oppose the HR 6666. They show you more petition. There is a petition to investigate the Bill and Melinda Gates, or the Melinda and Bill Gates Foundation. Yes. There is a petition, and that has, when I last looked, over 500,000 signatures on that petition. So yeah, that shows. I mean, honestly, because believe me, I think I would probably fall into a puddle if I ever watch 5 seconds of mainstream news. I can't watch it, but I'm on what I'm seeing daily on YouTube, and even stuff like that petition. I signed it after I signed the opposing the HR 6666 petition. I saw that petition. I was like, I gotta sign that one, investigating Melinda and Bill Gates Foundation for sure. So, and that had 500 million signatures on it. So yes, people are waking up. Yes, I see signs of it all over the place.
Yeah, and it's so important to have these petitions and for people to make statements, because our thoughts are really powerful, but our words are even more powerful, because it creates a reality, and that frequency, travels, and it activates others, and it creates reactions. And so to make these statements and to ground these intentions and to not consent and to claim our sovereignty, I mean, this is what is going to keep us in a consistent flow of these I want to say positive forces, but it doesn't even need to be a positive or negative, just the divine forces. I just like to say cosmic and natural law, because it knows how to correct, it knows how to heal, it knows how to regenerate, it knows how to switch us back on. It just needs our presence. It needs us to devote and stand in alignment. And the thing is, it's not a foreign entity. It's connected to our higher self. It's a part of our inner blueprint. It's a part of the blood that runs through our veins and our nervous system. When it receives downloads, it stimulates the whole nervous system, and that's what shifts our physical body into a less dense form. Yes. So yeah,
because that again goes back to the connectedness We're connected to the universe. Nothing is separate. Now I want to do. Now I saw a promo of yours. You're going to do a new show coming up soon, aren't you?
Yes, it's called Dark to Light with David Rodriguez, and it's a very interactive show. We're going to be doing. Hopefully, we'll launch soon. We have a few more things we need to do, and yeah, I know I've got to go in just a sec, but yeah, I'll be updating my website with the YouTube channel, and my website's cosmicgaia.org.
Yes.
And then, yeah, there's a lot of events coming up. I'll be doing a lot of presentations that are a lot more visual for people to really understand a lot of what we talked about
Good.
frequency and just DNA, junk DNA, what we're truly made of, what we can really focus on so we can begin to switch the lights on instead of feel like we're just like, afraid and alone in the dark.
Yes.
And so the one is 8 hours. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's going to be intense.
Well, share again. I know you shared at the beginning. Share again. Share your website. Share your upcoming events. Share all of that again with our listeners. And I'll have links to them below. Go ahead.
Oh, you're wonderful. I really appreciate you having me on too. And I'll send those links in a little chat thing. So I haven't updated my website fully. So one of the important links that I recommend people get in touch with is Portal to Ascension. I believe it's June 5th and 6th. I just posted it on Twitter and Facebook. You can find it there. It's 8 hours, but it's a sliding scale. And if you're really having money issues, you can come in for free. And then the other one is Forbidden Knowledge TV, and that's on YouTube. As far as the promo, May 31st, you can find that on my website, cosmicgaia.org. And those are the two big things I have, coming up next.
Awesome. Awesome. And also, another thing that is waking people up is the YouTube and Facebook and social media bans. You know that YouTube and Facebook are banning doctors. We're talking about credible doctors. Doctors and police. They're police officers coming forward saying, I am not going to take away. I took an oath to protect the citizens' constitutional rights. And I'm not there. Every day I see a new police officer, and then a couple of them have gotten fired over saying that. Are you kidding me? Because they're going to stand up for their oath. So no, that's how the awakening is happening. Believe me, the Great Awakening is happening. And in a short time, we will all be in 5D. Very short time.
I absolutely agree.
Yeah.
And those are the great leaders, those stories of people doing the right thing and doing what's right for humanity, even if it costs them their job. We'll all support one another and lift each other up and help each other through. Yes.
Very true. Very true. Thank you so much. This has been great. Yes.
I so enjoyed being here. Thank you so much for having me.
This is going to actually air tomorrow night because I'm going to work on it all night and get it to air tomorrow night. So I will just email me those links and I'll have those links in the description below.
Okay, wonderful. I so appreciate it. And then when you get the link, then you can send that to me, right? And I can share.
I will. I'm going to, yes.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Yay. Thank you. Much love to you.
Hi. I hope you enjoyed that show with Laura Eisenhower. I was really happy that she took some time out to have a chat with me. We had a quick discussion about the awakening, the mask awakening that I have been talking about for the past 2 months, actually 2.5 months. There is a series I'm doing that I invite you guys to check out. It's called 2020, the Year of Clear Vision. Open your eyes. So a lot of what we talked about, we didn't go into detail, but it talks about how there is an awakening happening, and many people are not aware of what's happening. They think it's just this virus, but there's much more. It's much deeper than the virus, and so I invite you all to check out my series, which goes into detail on the awakening that we're in the midst of. And again, it's something not to be afraid of, nothing I'm afraid of. I'm actually on a high, seriously, because I can see from a higher perspective what's happening right now. So please check out my series. Also, I want you to check out my website, because I am also offering a free mentoring session to anyone interested in a mentoring session with me. Just go to my website, send me an email, and I will hook you up with a mentoring session. I actually enjoy, that's one of my passions. I enjoy mentoring. So please check that out. Also, since we have been kind of locked inside, everybody's on Zoom, meeting on Zoom, I am doing a monthly meeting. This month, it will be next Thursday, May 28th at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern. So that's Thursday, May 28th, 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern. If you're interested in joining us in a Zoom discussion group, please just email me and I will send you the link to that discussion group. We had a great time last month. We have a great time every month. Also, on my website, there are a list of holistic events, free holistic events for health. Everybody's concerned about their health right now. And as I stated in the show with Laura earlier, I'm completely holistic, and I even am finding new holistic ways to stay healthy. Our body is amazing, and when we feed it the right nutrition, healthy, organic, plant-based foods, and when we exercise, drink enough water, even deep breathing. I'm discovering I just started doing deep breathing exercises yesterday. I'm going to be doing them every day. I meditate every day, but now I'm adding something new to my daily routine. I'm doing deep breathing because check this out. Do your own homework. If your body is alkaline, you cannot catch a cold. You don't have to worry about any virus or bacteria or germs, because when your body is alkaline, you can't even catch a cold. So I try to stay healthy as best I can holistically, and I encourage everyone to check out the holistic online events on my website, and they're free. You can register for free and learn about holistic health. Also, everything I do is from my heart. Awake to Oneness Radio is nonprofit. So I appreciate any support, financial support. I say if you can donate $1 to $5 a month, I greatly appreciate it. There's a donation button on my website. Thank you so much. This has been a great hour with Laura. I am so happy to meet her. And I hope she and I stay in contact. She's a really great lady. And her father, her grandfather, great-grandfather is one of my favorite presidents, even though I wasn't around. I wasn't born when he was president, but it's all good. You guys have a great weekend. Love you all. Peace and love. Namaste.